Hi, I'm Mr Symonds, and in this video we're going to look at the advantages and disadvantages of outsourcing. So this is a business studies concept, and in order to look at this we're going to use the 2016 New South Wales Business Studies HSC exam, and we're going to have a look at question 23. So I'll just put this on the screen here. So you can see here that it's part of the short answer section, 10 marks. We're just going to look at the A and B section for this particular video. So the question is, Heather owns a financial planning business with offices in 4 countries, including Australia. So we can have a look at here, part A, Heather outsources the cleaning of her Sydney office. Explain one advantage. Heather also outsources all of her financial record keeping. Explain 2 disadvantages. So in order to succeed in this question, we need to know advantages and disadvantages of outsourcing. What we're doing is we are using external providers to perform business functions. So before outsourcing, a business would do everything itself, which sounds like a good idea, but actually is not amazing, because if you think about it, particularly in this example of Heather, if Heather is running this global, successful financial planning business, maybe she's not an expert in cleaning. So what we can do is we can say, you know what? I'm going to stick to the core business functions that are most important and most profitable for the business, and I will outsource the other things. So if we think about the advantages of outsourcing, this is looking at what are the benefits of getting an external provider to do certain business functions. So what we can do is we can look at the fact that there is simplification, that the business will perform a smaller range of activities. So it can do the most important, most profitable things more and outsource the other things. The other thing is that it could also get access to skills or resources that the business may not have itself. For example, let's say that I run a gardening business and I mow people's lawns all around Sydney. Then maybe I'm not an expert at the financial side of things, at invoicing, at tax, at GST, at compliance, at all those other things. What I can do is I can get that expertise by outsourcing it, by getting a third party to perform those tasks. So essentially, outsourcing allows us to buy expertise from someone else. The other thing we can think about is that with that simplification idea is this idea that we can focus on the core tasks. We're not going to spend time on things that don't make us money or are not what the business does well. We can focus on what we can call the core competencies, the most important parts of the business, the true strengths of the business. For example, if as a gardener I outsource my invoicing, tax, all these sorts of things to an accounting provider that operates in a different time zone, that maybe while I'm asleep in Australia, they can be taking care of all those things. So I wake up, there it is, it's all ready to go, all the invoices are prepared, my tax statements are done, I'm all sorted. So that we can actually take advantage of the global business environment, different time zones to be able to do business. So if we think back to that first part of the question, Heather outsources the cleaning of a Sydney office. Explain one advantage of this strategy. So that if Heather outsources cleaning, that cleaning is not the core competency for her business. So that what we can say is that by outsourcing, Heather can dedicate more time and resources to the business's core competency, which could improve revenue, sales, and profitability, because that cleaning function, that's not really increasing the profitability or growth of the business. That's just something that's needed so that the workers can come and do their jobs effectively and happily. So if we think about the disadvantages of outsourcing, one big thing is the loss of control and maybe a loss of security. So that think back to the gardener example of me. If I give my tax details and customer details to a firm that is not me and is overseas, I'm losing control of that information and that process, and maybe that customer data is not as secure as I would keep it because I'm very close to my customers. So we have to weigh that up. It's like, yes, it would be easier and cheaper for someone else to do it, but is it okay to lose that control? Is it okay to maybe take some risks in terms of security? So that is something that a business has to weigh up, has to think about. Another issue in terms of outsourcing can be in communication and language. If a business outsources its services to a firm in another country, maybe there are language barriers. Maybe there is a difficulty in communicating the goals and the needs clearly. So confusion can arise, which can create further problems and maybe reduce some of those potential benefits of outsourcing in the first place. Another thing is that outsourcing can be expensive, so that there could be a large cost involved in creating a contract and a business arrangement for that outsourcing function, which may take a long time to cover the costs of in terms of that outsourcing arrangement. So if we return to that HSC question, I'll just return to it now. So we've got part B here for 4 marks. Heather also outsources all her financial record keeping. Explain 2 disadvantages of this strategy. So we could say that if you are outsourcing record keeping, there is a loss of control, potentially lack of security over that vital information. If that falls into the wrong hands, or if that is misused or corrupted, that will affect Heather's business. She may get a bad reputation, she may lose sales and customers. So one disadvantage is the loss of control and security. Another disadvantage could be the cost. It may be very expensive for Heather to outsource all of these services, so she may need to try and increase sales and revenue in order to cover that extra cost, or that may affect profitability. So Heather also needs to look at how expensive is this? Are we going to be able to manage it? Okay, so there are so many other advantages and disadvantages of outsourcing. I've just focused on a couple of each because I think you don't need to know every single bit. You need to have a really good idea about a couple of ideas to be able to talk about them in the context of questions like this. Okay, so hopefully this was valuable and useful, maybe also a little bit informative. Thank you very much for watching, and also any questions or comments, just put them in the comments and I'll see you in the next one.